So here we are welcoming at the Art of Guitar, first Chronicle, Mr. John Shahen. Welcome, John.
Welcome. Thank
Yeah,
you.
glad to have you here. This is the first in a series of interviews about the creative process and the songwriting process, and for individuals who um, play guitar in a way that is holistic. You sing or you do backup vocals, you play guitar, you jam with others, and it's actually like part of your life.
Yeah.
It's a culture. It's like part of who you are and what you do, and it works into your daily routine. So we're just going to take a little bit of time with John today to talk about the creative process. What's it like? How you started playing? What your influences are, and how you went from like being interested in guitar
Yeah.
to having gigging be like a regular part of your life. So welcome aboard. And if it's all good with you, we'll just get started.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me so far.
Sure. So how did you go from zero, no skills? I mean, zero skills,
Yeah.
somebody who saw a guitar in a shop window and dreamt about it.
Yeah.
How did you go from that to, let's say, like strumming your first song?
hmm
Can you remember that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the first time I became interested in actually learning to play the guitar was I started playing Guitar Hero when I was a little kid, and I heard my dad playing the riff on his acoustic right around the time Iron Man came out by the Marvel movie. Um, he was playing the riff to Iron Man by Sabbath,
Nice.
and he was I just came in one day. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but I figure I'd come in and give it a try and make sure I can see if I can learn it. And and I learned the first couple notes, and I realized, okay, it's gonna work.
Okay.
This is gonna work.
Did he show you?
Yeah,
Or did? Oh, okay.
it's
Cool.
my father who showed me. Yeah,
Nice. Do you remember what he was playing?
it was just like a
Guitar-wise?
cheap first act, like acoustic.
There you go.
It wasn't like one of those ones you find like at Toys R Us or Walmart.
Yeah.
It was just one of those ones, it was like more full size, but it came in a cardboard box though still.
Yeah.
You
There you
know.
go. So it was a
Yeah.
legit guitar.
Yeah.
Um, and he got you going on that riff, and from there, did you like get going on it pretty regularly, or
Pretty
did
much,
you
yeah.
like step out, step back in, step out, step back in? Like, do you remember?
For the first couple of weeks, it was kind of like step out, step back in, because school and stuff like that. I was in
Yeah.
fourth grade at the time, focusing on school or homework or yada yada yada.
Yeah.
But what got me interested, eventually, when I started having the time more often to play more and
Yeah.
learn more.
Yeah.
After a couple of weeks, my dad's like, "You want to get your first guitar?" And I said, "Yeah." And
Cool.
my first guitar, shortly thereafter, I got it. It was a Epiphone Les Paul Studio.
Nice.
And
I'm a big fan.
yeah,
I'm a fan. I like
hell
it.
yeah, we got Drone Sound out in right back when they used to be by
Yeah.
Army Navy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. You went on in Albany.
No, yeah, right on the border of Schenectady and Latham.
Oh, okay. That's the one that just closed.
Yeah, yeah. Well, right before they actually moved to their last location, remember they were right across the
Oh,
street from
they
View
were.
Solo or something.
Yeah. For folks that don't know, like, I'm sure a lot of you have like your mom and pop stores, and Drone Sound very sadly just closed. And they had two locations when they were the most successful, and that's actually where I started my guitar journey too.
Well,
I started lessons there,
yeah,
right at Drone Sound in Albany.
it's a very historic, music store in our area.
Yep.
It's very unfortunate that they had to close.
So I think it's the effects of Amazon.
Yeah.
And I think it's the effects of like really big box stores coming
Yeah,
in. And
like even as much as I love Sweetwater, but Sweetwater or
yeah,
Reverb and stuff like that.
yeah.
You
And
know.
we live in an area, I mean, not to go off on a total tangent, but just to put it in perspective, we live in an area that when like John was learning to play or I was learning to play, it was still kind of like privileged knowledge. You had to know somebody,
Mhm.
somebody had to teach you, you had to maybe look at a magazine. Like online wasn't really that big of a thing.
Yeah.
You had to know people,
Mhm.
and by going to the guitar store, it was amazing because you would meet people. They would say, oh, you don't want a 1.3 millimeter pick for that, man. What are you
Yeah.
doing? And then you're like a 14-year-old kid, and you're trying to like speak the language. And so in those days, like you did your learning, maybe
Yeah.
not even in the lesson room.
Yeah.
but you did your learning on the shop floor. People who took the
Yeah.
time to help you and your relatives.
It was a camaraderie, basically. You know, it was,
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no,
sadly,
absolutely.
the last Rome Sound just closed,
Yeah.
and I think we can thank that to the effects of COVID and
Yeah.
the market, inflation, and
Um,
them having a hard time surviving as a mom and pop.
yeah.
So Drome Sound is
But their
very,
legacy will never be forgotten. That's for sure,
oh, for
especially with the
sure.
local music scene. You know.
Oh, I know it. Yeah, a lot of good stuff came from it. And you, Epiphone Les Paul Studio.
Yep.
Uh, and for those at home who are on acoustic guitar and considering an electric for the first time,
Yeah.
this is a great time for Epiphone.
Yeah.
This is a wonderful time to
Because
grab
back
an
when
Epiphone.
I was
Yeah.
starting out, Epiphones are good, but like I kind of think their quality's gotten progressively better and better
Yeah.
the past decade or so.
Yep.
Since I first started playing guitar,
For sure.
because I started back in 08, 09,
Okay.
and so I've been playing over 15 years at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So you grabbed yourself a studio.
yep.
Did you get it yourself? Did you have to
I
work
think
it?
it was. I
And
think I paid half. My father paid half. It
nice.
was just.
That's what I did too
Yeah.
for my first amp. I had to work it off.
Oh,
I had
yeah.
to paint a room. And
What was the first amp?
it was a Fender Rad, R-A-D.
Hmm.
They're gray and they're fuzzy.
Oh yeah, it was
And
like
they
a
have
little
red
combo
knobs.
amp, or.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I have one of the twins, the tube amp
You
version.
do?
Yeah.
Wow, those are,
It doesn't have the red knobs. I think it's a later version I got from
yeah,
PJ. I love Fuzz, but yeah.
those are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are.
So you paid your half of the guitar.
Yeah.
Nice, good deal. And
Yeah.
so tell, if you can, a little bit about what that was like. Even if folks at home, watching are adults, it doesn't matter. I mean, the
Yeah.
journey is still the journey. So, were
Absolutely.
you doing by ear? Did you look in a book, or did people help you?
I didn't really use tabs at first, or sheet music at first, because it was mainly just looking on YouTube, or the riffs that my dad was interested in learning, or the riffs by bands he liked as well. He would show me.
Nice.
That's how it started initially.
How'd you do with YouTube? Okay.
Like once I reached middle school or high school, I did a lot better than I did, elementary school, because
Yeah.
when you're first starting out, it's hard to like, because I didn't even know anything about other tunings before
Sure.
before like 7th or 8th grade, because it was around that time I realized I wanted to tune to E flat because I wanted to learn Guns N' Roses songs, and it was easier to play like Slash or Izzy Stradlin if I learned to play the songs in the right tuning. So
Exactly. Yeah. You yeah, you kind of have to do that.
yeah,
Now they have a pedal you can just click on that
yeah,
puts you down a half step, but
which I have one of them, but I rarely use it.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
better just to tune down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
It's more realistic.
how did you get from there to
Mhm.
actually like jamming with other people?
Yeah.
Did you know them? Did you meet them?
I actually met them at a music camp. My first band I was in, Liam Fitzgerald, I was telling you at one point, and Moses Torres.
Yep.
We formed our first band when we were in like high school. We met at a jazz camp at SCCC back in the summer of 2015. I met Liam a year prior, 2014, at the same camp.
So, hold on.
Yeah.
GNR to jazz.
Yeah.
What?
I know, right?
How did it, like, what did
well, I was just interested, because I'd also watched even though I didn't know much about jazz up until this point, and even at the time I didn't yet, I watched the Ken Burns jazz documentary, which I really enjoyed when I was in middle school. And that's how I learned a little bit more about the musicians and the history of jazz.
Oh, that's amazing.
And
like that attracted you to it a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. That, and I'd known who Django Reinhardt was, and I'd known who, Wes Montgomery and Joe Pass and guys like that. I'd heard about them too,
Yeah.
But it was just,
Did you play jazz before the camp? Fool around a little?
I learned, not really, no.
Okay.
I learned like, the chords, like, the E7 chord, the E major 7 chord, or the E minor 7 chord, of course other keys too with that. But that's how I kind of cut my teeth on learning different chords and stuff like that.
Got you. Something drew you to it.
Yeah.
Something in the sound, the history.
Yeah.
The legacy.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Yeah. And it was better than just playing normal E major, cowboy chords all the time, because it
Yeah.
added more of a twist to the music,
Yeah,
especially when you wanted to end up writing your own music eventually. So
for sure.
yeah,
That's interesting.
yeah,
See, I learn something new every time I talk to you. So then, meeting Liam and Moses,
yeah,
like they were in camp.
yep.
Okay, cool.
They were like 2 or 3 years younger than me. We met and we said we should form a band, and we all got together. It was like a power trio, mostly instrumental that we were
Mm-hmm.
doing, because
Mm-hmm.
none of us were. I mean, they were okay singers. I was an okay singer, but I can't
Mm.
really. I still struggle with singing while
Yeah,
playing guitar to this day.
yeah.
But
And that's a great example.
yeah,
Everybody's nervous about singing and playing guitar.
yeah,
Don't worry. It's it's a journey, and you actually don't need to sing all that well
yeah,
to like get through a song on
right.
guitar. So these guys, it's funny that you met them in the backing of like learning jazz,
Mhm.
because you went on to form Flamwell.
Oh, that was before Flamwell.
Oh, it was.
Sal Massis. Sorry if I.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, Sal Massis. It was just a band. It wasn't like anything as serious as Flamwell, because
Was it
Flamwell
as
was a.
hard hitting?
No, it was actually like progressive rock.
Wow.
It was like or that and jazz, and even you know also classic rock influence. So it was more like most of the songs we were writing were instrumental, and like some of them, we had this one song we recorded. It was called Supernova, and it was like 9-10 minutes
Nice.
long. It had different sections. It was like, if I feel like if we go back, like if especially me and Liam, I still talk to Liam to this day.
Yeah.
If we were to go back and re-record or even rewrite certain parts of the riffs of this little demo we had,
Hmm.
I feel like we could make it work.
That would be pretty cool to
Yeah,
hear.
yeah,
It'd
and
be great to compare the two.
yeah, absolutely,
Nice.
yeah.
So you guys just wrote your music.
Mhm.
So you didn't do covers. You
We did
don't
a
do
few,
covers, do you?
not as much. We did a
Yeah.
few covers, like when we first started jamming as just the three of us. Like we
Mm-hmm.
started with like, I think it was War Pigs by Black Sabbath, and we
Mm-hmm.
also jammed Moby Dick by Led Zeppelin.
Yep.
And he'd even do the drum solo. Liam would.
Yeah. That's a testament to him.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's
yeah,
a really tough song.
absolutely. And Moses was really good with the bass. Obviously, he could play
Yes.
like kind of like Chris Squire, but with his fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's who I met him, right?
yeah,
He's
yeah.
the
I think you have met him.
yeah.
Yeah,
So he was
he used to play. I
he had
don't
a
know if
great
he's.
voice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was a bass player. I'm sure you know that, but
Yeah.
he had a black Rickenbacker
Yeah.
4003. Yeah,
Yep.
hell of a nice bass.
Yeah. Yeah. You got these guys absolutely rock the house, and
Yeah,
you always have.
yeah,
But so that's makes a lot of sense, and that's how you went from just developing your chops to jamming with these guys, and
yeah.
then from there so chemistry is a thing, I think,
Hmm.
with bands.
Yeah,
So you guys, you and Moses went on
yeah.
together to form Flamwell.
No, me and Manny.
Oh, you and Manny.
Sorry,
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's okay.
yeah, but no, I met Manny. It's actually interesting story. I met Manny. Interesting story. I met Manny the first day I was at Schenectady.
Mm-hmm.
We decided to, because he was the first person. We were both the first people we even spoke words to each other our first day of college,
Oh,
because I
nice.
noticed he had a Megadeth shirt on. I think I had like a Metallica Justice for All shirt on
There
or
you go.
something. And
There
we
you
were
go.
talking about music, and a couple months go by, and we were friends, but we eventually we said, why don't we just form a band together?
There you
And
go.
it worked out. Yeah,
There you go. So I think like the takeaway, like the point in all this is to help people understand that it's a changing thing.
yeah,
Like you're gonna meet people and jam with them, and you like it might work out
yeah,
or it might not. And also, who cares half the
yeah,
time? Like,
exactly.
who cares if it works out?
Yeah,
And what does work out really mean? I mean, if you got together and you wrote some tunes and you jammed and you had a really fun time, I mean, maybe that's it. Like
yeah,
maybe that's why you were meant to get together. Gigging is a whole extension of that.
yeah,
Like, but you know how it is. You can meet different people. You could
right.
have, it's almost like a collection of individuals,
Hmm.
who play different styles and that you meet. I think a
Yeah,
lot of people think, oh, I could never jam with anybody. Oh, I'm too nervous to jam with anybody.
yeah,
Maybe they feel the same way. Maybe they don't. You don't know till you try.
Right. You never know. It never hurts to try. The worst
Yeah,
that could happen is just doesn't. It's not for you.
just doesn't click.
Yeah, exactly.
So that helps understand how you went to become comfortable jamming with others.
Yeah.
So
Because before I was with Met Liam and Moses, didn't really know much about playing with a band. I think I told you that last time I
yeah,
talked to you.
yeah,
We didn't. I didn't at least have much experience playing with bands or drummers or bass players or just a band in general.
sure.
But then we got to form a band. It taught me a lot. You know, things that I still use to this day.
Mm,
So
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Um, those are lessons that you only learn by trying.
yeah,
You
absolutely.
literally can't learn how to play with others if you don't play with others
Right.
ever. But you can get some information on it, like listening to John here and tell about the process. Speaking of that,
Mhm.
Flamwell was when I met you,
Yes,
and you guys were amazing.
absolutely.
And I remember seeing your press photos from the big gig you had at the mall,
Oh yeah, it's Skyloft. Yeah, in
Skyloft,
Crossgates.
right? Like literally two
Another
days
place.
before COVID.
Yeah, another place long gone, unfortunately, at this point.
So, what was your process like with the guys? So in
Yeah.
Flamwell, to get from, hey, let's jam together, we kind
Mm.
of know each other a little, to putting together your first gig. I mean, I don't expect you to give like a play by play,
Yeah.
but what was it like to do that, to engage? So you meet, you
Yep.
get together in a common space, somebody's house, or you rent a studio. And then what?
Yeah.
Like, and then you're gigging on big stages.
Yeah, we recorded a few songs and we wrote a few songs, like we changed a little bit before we recorded
Hmm.
eventually. But mostly the songs that we ended up the way we ended up recording them were how they were written. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like because I remember we had this one song called Watch You Fall that we recorded as a demo at Manny's house before Jason even joined as a permanent drummer. I think Manny just used an electronic drum set
Hmm.
and played like sample, like just simple beats just to go along with what I was writing,
Got it.
and
Yeah.
he was writing as well. But
Yeah.
we were yeah, it was just we wrote music and we got we ended up wanting to play gigs, and we decided to look out for what was available. It was actually funny. Our first couple gigs that we played our original material at, it was at this 3-day festival out in East Durham, out by Greenville,
Okay.
New York, and it was called like Rock Out the Dope, and I think it was kind of a disaster, the festival itself. Long story,
Of
because
course,
like,
right?
well, like not even us playing or any of the bands there. It was just like it was disorganized, and I think it was a false advertising. Like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they said they were gonna have all these big stages and sound equipment. We get there and there's like a bunch of
Just,
stages, but there's not
oh
much sound
man,
equipment. You know,
I've
but
been
but
there,
even
been
then we
there for
played.
sure.
Even then we went from there. A month or two later, we were playing the Chance Theater in Poughkeepsie.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, the chances, or was
yeah, it's still there.
good.
I think it's for sale,
Yeah.
but they might have a new owner. But I believe they're still open.
The
Yes.
Chance is one of the few remaining music clubs in upstate,
Yeah,
like dedicated to music, a place you can always go hear
yeah.
quality stuff.
Lots of famous bands played there, and we played on a stage, and we played on a stage where our heroes have basically played at some point or another.
For sure.
Like actually Guns N' Roses played there on that Appetite for Destruction
Did they?
tour a month before Appetite came out. So
Did you feel when you guys got booked for that gig,
yeah,
did anything change? Did you practice more often and be like, yo, we gotta really nail it, man. We gotta
yeah,
like you just practice like all the time, a couple hours a day or
yeah. We did,
yeah,
but it wasn't until Skyloft and Crossgates we really got it down.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I mean, we had it down at the Chance, but
yeah.
I think we did one or two covers. They, I don't remember what the other cover was if we did another one, but I know we did Blind by not Blind, Coming Undone by Korn.
Oh really?
Yeah, I had a
Nice.
7-string PRS at the
I
time.
bet you did for
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
because they played A standard on a 7-string or whatever it is. Korn does. So we played that, and it wasn't a huge success, that show, because we didn't really we didn't sell enough tickets, and we couldn't really, because we're an hour and a half away from Poughkeepsie.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's one
That's
challenge you have people face when they play shows far from home.
well,
You know.
so yeah, and that's That's something that I always found original music. If you're playing, you write songs,
Yeah.
you have a band, you guys have an identity.
Hmm.
And I always found that those are the cases where the promoter might hand you 125 tickets
Yeah.
and say, sell these.
Yeah.
And you're like,
It's
as
like,
a
yeah.
musician, you're
It's like, how the
actually,
hell is that possible?
yeah, you should be more concerned with the chord changes, the hits,
Yeah.
everything
And
being on
playing in
time.
time and as
Yeah,
well as keeping the crowd, entertained and all that,
right. Being a good act.
Yeah.
And
Being
then
good
then
musicians
you're
and
handed
being,
tickets.
yeah.
So then there's a big debate about tribute bands, cover
Yeah.
bands, never being in a band, but just going to open mics and getting to
Right.
know people.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways to experience, but John, has vast experience in projects with original songwriting,
Yeah.
and that's what does that process look like with the instrument in your hand?
Mhm.
Songwriting, like how does
Yeah.
it work for you?
It varies because, like I said, I could be playing a riff uh, at home, just noodling around my guitar.
Hmm.
I could just, I'll be like, oh, that sounds cool. I like that. I want to use that in a song. Then I'll take out my iPhone. I'll just film a video or record
There you
audio,
go.
and just
Yeah.
simple things. Then I'll bring it to practice with whatever the project is,
Hmm.
and we'll figure out stuff that goes along with it, and we'll build off that riff. Because you start with the foundation,
Yeah.
and you build your way up from that.
Yeah.
So
It could be anything, right?
yeah,
A
absolutely.
single string riff you have in your head.
Yeah,
Um, a drop tuning riff. It could
yeah.
like you do chord work? Like
I do a lot of chords and I do a lot of drop tuning too.
yeah.
So
Do you hear the melodies in your head?
yeah,
Cool.
yeah. And like sometimes when I get the riffs down, I can hear as a band. I can almost somewhat hear what I'd want it to hear if I'm listening to it on like a record or a CD or headphones or whatever.
Where does that come from?
Just comes from like what's that?
Very philosophical question.
Yeah.
Where does it come from? That
I think it could be perhaps me envisioning how the song, in my opinion, should sound like and should feel and should give the vibes the song should give off of.
yeah.
So
Cool.
yeah,
That's you make it sound so simple.
yeah,
You make it sound so simple,
right,
but it will happen, right? If you keep listening and being mindful
yeah,
and tuning
absolutely.
into the music.
Because as long as you hone your craft, you can do whatever. It's just yeah,
When you have a creative process, John, like, do
yeah.
you think about it, or is it like whenever it hits you? Like,
It could be a mixture of both. Like
okay, do you sit down and try?
yeah,
Okay,
oh, I do, and sometimes it just comes to me. Like it could be, it varies. Like
okay.
one day, like I could have a riff in my head,
Hmm.
and just or a melody or something, and I'll just pick up my guitar and play it. Or I could just be playing the guitar, playing whatever, and then something could just come out of that.
Was that like since you were a beginner? Did you always just fool around with riffs, or did you feel like you had to be certain level of good in order to do that?
It took a few years for me to get to that because, like, at first I was just learning. When I first started, I was just learning simple riffs, like
Yeah.
from like Black Sabbath or whatever, or
Mm-hmm.
Zeppelin,
Mm-hmm.
and but no, once I learned the craft, once I honed my craft, I got better and
Yeah.
better at it.
Cool.
So
What advice would you give people who get stuck?
mhm.
Um, they fall out of practice for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days,
Right.
6 days. Like, did that ever happen to you?
Oh
Where
yeah, it's happened. Yeah,
it has?
it has I mean, not as often.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes like I take a few days break, every now and then. But
Hmm.
there have been times, where things come up,
Okay.
yeah,
Life.
yeah, life exactly,
Okay.
yeah,
How do you get unstuck? If you feel stuck, like maybe you've been playing the same riffs for a while,
yeah,
or maybe you haven't written a new song in a while,
yeah.
how do you undo that or like move past that?
I'll just really, I'll listen to because I like a lot of music. I'll
Yeah.
listen to whatever I'm listening to. Maybe I'll come up with a riff that's influenced by whatever I was listening to,
Okay.
You know what I mean?
In the
Like,
style of
yeah, and the
the
style,
feel, like
yeah, the feel,
okay,
yeah, exactly,
cool.
yeah,
And so you don't worry, like, oh, what scale goes with this, and what scale, and what's the right key, and like,
yeah, exactly. I don't worry.
okay,
Whatever sounds good, whatever fits it to my liking is what really. That's
cool.
what I try to do.
See, I think that's important for folks to know. Guitar does not have to be this big mystery of modes.
Hmm.
Like if that's your thing, and you wanna punch through and know, that the Phrygian's got a flat two.
Yeah,
Okay, that's fine, right? Like,
right.
but you don't need to do
Yeah,
that.
you don't need to because there's so much more to music than just one or two scales or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Nice. So, do you have a routine? A certain
like when it
time of
comes to
day, like before work, after work, or if you know that you have the next morning off, like do you have actual routine that helps you be productive? Or
usually I do, like sometimes like I said, life happens, but usually I
hmm
have a pretty good routine.
hmm
Like I'll just jam and whatever, and I'll come up with something, and
like
yeah,
every day?
not every day, like 'cause sometimes, like I said, life comes
Yeah.
up and it can be hard to fit it into the schedule because whether it's work or
Did you ever
life.
plan it to say like Tuesdays at 6, Wednesdays at 4, Thursdays at 10:30 p.m. or no?
Not really, no.
Okay.
If I'm being honest, but I'd like to. I'm honestly getting to the point where I'd like to start doing that.
Okay.
Like because like with band practices, usually we'd start at 10 in the morning on a Saturday.
10 in the morning.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And we'd come up with riffs or we'd practice what we already
Are you
have
sure you're
finished.
musicians?
Yeah,
10 in the morning. Wow.
yeah,
Wow. Coffee?
yeah.
Yeah.
That or that or an energy drink or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
How long? Like you guys hang out like
There were times like when with Kill the Acquitted, we were
hmm
practicing. We had this uh we had this, what do you call it, rehearsal space at this clock tower, which is an old, the clock tower out in
Yeah,
Amsterdam. We
I
used to
do.
rehearse there in the sixth floor.
Really?
Yeah, for about 6 months we did, and
Wow.
we were there, and there were times we practiced there. We'd be there 10, 12 hours a day, or 12
Jeez.
hours whatever day we were rehearsing,
hmm
and we'd just jam or drink beer and eat pizza and do
Play.
whatever. Yeah, and
That's
play.
awesome.
Yeah, or jam whatever we had down, like the songs we already had written, or come up with new shit. So yeah,
Now, I know a lot of people watching might be like, I could never do that. I'll never make
because we
it.
had to take breaks
I'll
because you
never
can't just
make
do
it.
it.
I can't do 10 hours. I'll never
Right.
make it. But do you think there's methods that people could drill down to make like 45 minutes to an hour and a half with another person, like good and productive?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. You just gotta, um, I'd say, just be straight to the point. I mean, if you're struggling, go over it until you have it down.
Even little bits.
Yeah, little
Yeah.
bits. Even if you have to play it slower than it
Yeah.
usually is played, just to get it down and more accurate. And then when you play it up to speed, it's more accurate and more in time.
You told me something about helping you nail down a rhythm playing with a drummer.
Yeah, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find that sometimes if I, just to help, obviously playing along with a metronome always helps. There's nothing wrong with that, because
I'm a
how are
big
you?
fan.
Yeah, I mean, nothing wrong with playing with a metronome, obviously, because you
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
get better at timing. When it comes to playing with other musicians, playing better in time, I definitely recommend playing with just a drummer at times, like not all
hmm
the time. I mean, always play if you can play with a bass player and a drummer at least.
Yeah.
But if there's just a drummer with you, play along with your drummer. You know?
You do see a lot of people playing with at cafes
Yeah,
with just like a hand drummer, like
yeah,
a congos or djembe or whatever it
yeah,
might be, right?
yeah.
Um,
Or even sometimes a bass drum, like those acoustic songwriters.
yep,
You know?
I have one of those.
Yeah.
It's a wood block,
Oh, really?
and there's a little condenser mic inside it,
Oh, wow.
and you slam your foot on the wood block,
Hmm.
and it's hooked up to the board, and it creates a really nice wood. It's like a cross between an upright bass slap sound and an actual kick.
Yeah.
So those can be had pretty cheaply too.
Oh, well.
In the old days, guys used to just put a microphone by their
Hmm.
foot and a piece of plywood
Oh,
and
really?
just
Wow.
slam their foot on the plywood. There you go.
hey, whatever worked back then, you know.
Yeah. What would be your advice for a guitarist who's they can play chords and strums, but they're just struggling to put those first 5 songs together?
Yeah.
Have you been there? Like when you were
Like the first
young?
songs they're learning and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
like you
Yeah.
know how with YouTube and everything, you can just learn bits and pieces.
Yeah.
You learn like some cool facts or whatever, but what
Mhm.
about how what advice would you have for guitarists that can play guitar but not songs? They struggle with songs.
I'm trying to think.
Well, slow down, you said,
Yeah.
which is true.
Yeah.
But what about like trying to get that set list together
Yeah,
of your
definitely.
first 5 songs?
Yeah, definitely get like, especially when you're starting out,
Mm-hmm.
choose the simplest yet most fun songs to play
Mm-hmm.
and learn. Because the last thing you want to be playing is something is Mary Had a Little Lamb and just be bored out of your mind.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Just practice. I mean, start out a little slower, and you could also practice playing it bit by bit, section by section.
Mm-hmm.
Because that always helps. Or just get the rhythm down and stuff like that.
What do you think about beginners or even someone who's been playing? I talk to a lot of students who've been playing 5 or 6 years,
Right.
but they consider themselves still beginner status,
Mhm.
even after all that time,
Yeah.
because maybe they didn't have a helper, or maybe they're not surrounded by people who know music.
Yeah.
So, is it better to get, in your opinion? We all have different opinions
Yeah.
on it. Strum chords and songs, or like melodies and scales? Like where? What do you think in like getting out of the beginner status?
Well, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, you want kind of a middle ground if you can. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
somewhere in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
That way you can get both ends of the spectrum down.
Gotcha.
That's the way I view it.
Riffs.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, you have this beautiful, beautiful Les Paul right here.
Yes.
You have a very unique story about it. So why don't we close out our interview today by you telling us the really cool, unique history of this instrument?
Yeah. Absolutely. This is a 2008 Gibson Les Paul Traditional that I bought from Collar City Guitars. Technically, I didn't buy it. It was actually a Christmas gift for my parents
Nice.
2 years ago. Around this time, actually, it was like a couple days after Christmas they got it for me. It was just a late Christmas present.
I remember the Facebook post.
Yeah.
I was so happy for you.
Yeah. But no, it was previously owned by Reeves Gabrels, who was also an upstate New York resident who is known for playing with David Bowie in Tin Machine. And he also currently plays in The Cure. So it's got some notoriety and household name to it already, even though.
So tell them what we have here.
Yeah.
It is a Gibson.
Yep, Gibson. 2008. Les Paul Traditional. Yep.
Traditional.
Yep.
What would make it traditional?
Basically, it's unlike a Les Paul Standard. It's I think it's weight relieved.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's I don't think it's not chambered. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's a small portion is cut out for
Okay.
so it's not too heavy. I think it's around 8 pounds, around there.
Yeah, that is a little lighter.
Yeah, which is ideally, I think the ideal Les Paul weight is 8 or 9 pounds at between there.
I would agree.
Yeah, if not lighter.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know for sure if he used any albums. I do know he used it to write songs and record demos.
Mm-hmm.
Like he didn't. I don't think he recorded any studio albums with it. They had another one of his Les Pauls there. It was a '57 reissue, gold top, with like PAF clones or burst buckers or whatever. Of course, that was around $3,000, so I wasn't really interested in that. It was a nice guitar, great guitar. Just this one, I ended up not picking that one up or even trying that one. But once I picked this one up, I knew it had to come home with me. So
when you sit down with it,
if I play a guitar and I'm having trouble, like when I'm in a music store and I'm having trouble putting it down, or not wanting to buy it, that's when I know it's something I would probably bond with. You know what I mean?
Did you on the first try like get it, or did you like go back and plan it out?
I think I went back. I played it 2 or 3 times. before I finally went and got it and took it home. I remember the day I took it home.
That's
Just the
awesome.
same day as that photo you were talking about.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So Les Paul is
Mhm.
going to be a little bit of a shorter scale length than a Strat,
Yep.
right?
24 and 3/4. That's usually what most Gibsons are.
Right. And the
Yeah.
scale length, if I recall, is the distance between how the strings are stretched between the nut
Mm-hmm.
and
And
the saddles.
the saddles. Yes, I
Yeah.
believe that is it. Yep.
Now you have some special saddles on that.
Yes, it's a shower roller bridge. I replaced the stock tune-o-matic with just because it made it better. It stays in tune a lot better than it did. You know, for those of you who say, what do you have against Les Pauls? It's just nothing against Les Pauls, just to ensure extra tuning stability because, typical tune-o-matics are pointy and they're like a triangle. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a sharper angle for the strings to rest on. So it may not be the best for staying in tune. And I've actually considered putting locking tuners on this, just to be safe, even
Yeah.
though it stays in tune a lot better now.
Yep. I
But
think that I'm in the same boat
yeah,
with that. Yep. Yep.
yeah, that and it already had a replaced nut when I got it.
Okay.
Reeves put a bone nut in it,
Very
and he
nice.
also had stainless steel. I think these are jumbos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, stainless steel frets put in. Part of it I can tell they're not the original frets because they go over the binding. Gibson stock, they actually go
Over the fret.
over the fret. Yep.
Yeah.
It's but you can see it's right through the binding. That's how
Yep.
you can tell it's not original
Yep.
frets.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Very cool.
and the mods I've had done, it's got a coil split in the bridge volume,
Mm-hmm.
and in the middle when I do that and I do that,
Mm-hmm.
it's out of phase like Peter Green
I
or
love
Jimmy
that
Page.
sound.
Yeah, I do
It's
too.
very gentle but still
Yeah,
strong.
yeah, and even like
Yeah.
BB King too, like with
Yes,
the
like the
335.
ES sound.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
What
that
are these? What are
baritone.
these zebra colored pickups that you have?
So that I had a Seymour Duncan JB or not JB, Alico Pro 2 put in a while ago. I thought about putting it back in possibly, but
So
this one's a good pickup.
that's a Seymour Duncan.
This one's actually a different company, but this one's a Sonic Pickups, which is a
Oh,
company out of Burbank, California.
small
Yeah,
company.
smaller company. I believe the gentleman who owns the company, he worked in like the film industry, like doing costume design. I think he might have had a background in music as well. But
Nice.
that before he was a full-time pickup maker, he was in the film industry making costumes.
Did you ever? And this is for our Les Paul lovers.
Yeah,
Did you ever top wrap your strings?
I used to on one of
Yeah.
my other Les Paul, the
Yeah.
special I used to play here.
Yep.
I used to top wrap it. I stopped doing it after a while because I noticed it caused fret buzz. Because like originally when I was doing it, it didn't. But I don't know if I switched like a gauge, or if or even I don't even know if there was a difference because I think I might have put a pack of Ernie Ball 10 to 52s on instead of Diodarios.
You never know.
You never know exactly.
So yeah, top wrap is when we put the strings over that silver bridge, as opposed to under. So
Yeah,
we wrap them around the bridge and through. So definitely a lot of arguments again.
yeah,
I found the strings felt a little slinkier.
yeah. They definitely did.
I found that for me, I know this is going to get me a lot of heat, but the tuning was a little less stable
Yeah,
for me. But they were slinkier and it
yeah,
was easier to play the guitar.
right.
So pros
It
and
was probably
cons.
easier to bend a lot too,
Easier to bend.
because even Jimmy Page did it at one point
He
on
did.
number one.
I know Bonamassa does it
Yeah,
on quite
Bonamassa does. A lot
quite a
of people
few.
have at some point or another.
Yeah,
You know.
that's a beautiful guitar.
Yeah.
And what's the neck pickup there?
Neck pickup is just the stock 57 classic that came
Great
from the
pickup.
Gibson factory, which is a great pickup.
Now, do you keep this in one tuning?
Mainly either E flat standard or drop C sharp.
Okay,
You know.
pretty stable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I use 10 to 52 Darios on it.
yeah, and that actually is quite slinky on a Les Paul. The tune down 10.
Yeah, but it helps keep better, better
I can tell
intonation and stuff like that. Tuned to E flat.
it does. I've noticed that, and
Yeah.
I can see that you oil the neck. The
Yeah,
neck is in good shape.
yeah,
Really beautiful, rich wood.
yeah. It's got a fat neck. Here, you can feel it if you want.
Yeah, I imagine these are. There's a close look at the at that roller bridge for you. That's what the rollers look like. They were originally used on guitars that had a tremolo arm. because that moves the strings. And then there's just a look at how rich that neck is. There you go. So yeah, yep. So you have to find just the right amount of string depth here, the action of how you like it.
Yeah.
You know, some people like a higher action.
Mm-hmm.
You might play really hard.
Yeah.
Some people like a lower action.
Yeah.
You play very light.
Exactly.
So,
Because like especially if you're playing metal, you know, like James Hetfield, you're down picking really hard. You're probably gonna want a certain action or even certain string gauge too.
Exactly.
You know.
Cool. You have it. It looks like it's set up for right in the middle ground between too low and too high.
Yeah,
like you're
exactly.
right medium, and then you can really beat it up if you want to.
Yeah, exactly.
You won't get bad sounds.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you for doing show and tell.
Yeah, thank you.
I look forward to we have another interview coming up soon, just in a couple weeks. So who knows when in time in history you'll be seeing this. Please check out John's projects. I think it's important for you to know how an individual changes over time. So we're going to link some of his music here, primarily Flamwell and Kill the Acquitted.
Yes.
If there are any other tracks you want us to hear, please send them our way.
Absolutely.
In terms of honing the craft and adulting, any final words of wisdom you might have for, adult students who are just looking for that balance in their life?
Yeah. I mean, never give up. That's one thing, can't give up. Yeah. But especially if it's something you love doing, when it comes to guitar,
Right.
But try to find that, when you get home from work, if you can, try to find a good time, when you're between, doing dishes or whatever, eating dinner and before going to bed, just, even just for a few hours, just play something,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah, anything really. Yeah. Just something to keep the creative juices going, as well as the motivation and the practice up.
Very good.
So yeah.
Good words of advice, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, John,
for
all
Andrew.
Your time and you're talking about all this.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. We'll talk to everybody soon. Our next guest will be Michael Farley, who is going to dive really deep. Michael has a bachelor's and master's in musical composition, and he's a piano player who has turned to guitar very recently.
Yeah.
And I work with Michael in different ways. And one of the things that's interesting is that he sees the guitar like a piano. Wow. So there's no limits on the guitar.
Wow.
Yeah, he'll play things so very different than anyone because of that talent he has. We all have different talents. John, you have a unique set of talents.
Yeah.
So does Michael. And it's beautiful. It's art all the way around. So cool, everybody. Have a great one, and we will see you next time.
Happy New Year.